WAU Bathurst 1000 winner is Chaz Mostert. Mobil One Appliances Online Racing, Walkinshaw and Andretti United victors in 2021.
Well, Bruce, your life before supercars story is totally unique. If I could shorten it all up, you moved to Australia to play cricket, and then 22 years later, you won Bathurst 1000 with Michael Andretti. How the hell did you do that?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. So yeah, pretty average cricketer, came over to try and live my dreams and end up in an amazing racing team with global people in motorsport and great drivers and a great crew, and bloody hell, you win Bathurst. So yeah, it feels like 10 minutes, but there's been a lot between.
What was the go with cricket, mate? You moved to Australia to play for the Melbourne Cricket Club. I imagine a pretty cool opportunity.
Yeah.
How did it go?
Well, I was pretty average, so I thought I was good, and but I got caught up in Melbourne and living in Australia, and you know, to be honest, I was surrounded by great players like Hodgie and Dean Jones, and you know, these people, I wasn't even in the same ballpark, so I was playing down the grades and really enjoying cricket, but cut a long story short, ended up in a maternity ward with Mark Skaife and his wife, and they had a baby at the same time as my wife Lisa had a baby, and you know, the next thing you're talking about coming to the Holden racing team, and you're here.
Let's go back to the very beginning. You grew up in Christchurch in New Zealand?
Yeah.
Were you the kind of kid who watched supercars or F1, or was it just about cricket and rugby?
Cricket and rugby, but I would watch AFL for one day of the year and supercars for one day of the year. I'd always watch Bathurst because, to be honest, I was looking for crashes and excitement and new Mount Panorama, and I'd watch the AFL Grand Final because I wanted to see fights and occasionally a footy being kicked, but a lot of fights. So I grew up with Hawthorn and Essendon, but you know, at the end of the day, yeah, you get to hear and you're like, wow, how did this all happen?
And you would have been growing up in cricket at the time when the famous Australia-New Zealand rivalry was at its best.
Yeah, we hated you blokes. I've still got a chip on my shoulder. February the 1st, 1981 at 4:56 p.m. You guys decided, Greg said to Trevor, let's roll it underarm. And Brian McKechnie batted it back. You know, who won a lot of plaudits from that? Rod Marsh was behind going, no mate, no mate. And I think a lot of Kiwis were really sort of Rod Marsh fans at that stage. Greg Chappell not so much. And you know, I think even Trevor made an underarm commercial in New Zealand. So, but yeah, I still bring it up. The team knows that February the 1st, I walk around with this big, ugly Kiwi chip on my shoulder, talking about you blokes cheated on this day. And we'll never forget. So, I don't know, it's something that comes with the territory.
You mentioned your wife?
Yes.
You were married in New Zealand, moved over together?
No, she followed me over, and yeah, I'm batting way out of my league. But yeah, she followed me over, and Lisa, we got a young family, and it's pretty cool. We love Melbourne.
You mentioned the chance meeting with Mark Skaife, but you'd also started working a little bit in AFL before that?
Yeah, I worked at the Demons for 4 years, from 98 to 2002, and we made a grand final. I remember when I was being introduced to Cam Schwab, who was the CEO at the time, you know, he was like, well, why are we employing a Kiwi into an AFL club? Like, so there were a lot of questions about the players and how the team was and what I thought was good and bad about the team, but thankfully I was well into AFL. You know, playing cricket for the MCC or Melbourne Cricket Club meant that I followed Melbourne in the footy. And the one thing I couldn't understand is all these people I play cricket with would go and follow Hawthorn and Essendon and, you know, every other team. I was like, how you play for the cricket team and you follow the footy club.
Did you get MCC membership with that? Do you have to captain the team to get the membership into the MCC?
Yeah. Well, I I got invited for the MCC membership and I didn't take it up. Can you believe that? Like, I was just like, oh, I might be in Australia for a couple of years. Oh, not worth it. And then, you know, 20 years later, you just want to punch that bloke who said, nah, it's probably not for me.
Well, it's like a 20-year waiting list
I
now.
know. I've regretted that. I got offered it. Got it as part of the cricket club to, you know, you can jump the list and get on, you know, get through and get a provisional membership pretty quickly. And I am the idiot that turned it down.
No way.
No.
Did you get to play against some amazing players in your prime?
Yeah, in New Zealand, my claim to fame is I faced Hadley, and he was coming back from a hamstring injury, and I was a 18-year-old, 18-year-old, playing my third game of district cricket in Christchurch, and I charged a great man because it was a one-dayer, and I thought that's what you do. Unfortunately, I hit it well, went for 4, and the next 3 balls he tried to fill me in, so I faced bounces that I still haven't seen. I heard them clicking past my face. Remember the great man staring down at me, and I was still in awe, going, gee whiz, this is so cool, like Richard Hadley. Yeah, but, and then I faced a few bowlers and, district cricket nets, people like Brad Williams who played for Australia and stuff, but nothing met facing your idol and Richard Hadley.
So tell me about the moment you met Skaife. Did you know who he was
at
that point?
Yeah. Well, I'm a Kiwi, so Gentleman Jim.
Right.
Skaife was the bloke next to him when he called everyone arseholes. So, so meeting Mark and Tony, and then and through the mothers group, and their daughter Mia and my boy Harry are like really cool buddies, and have grown up together. And yeah, he said, why don't you come work for the Holden Racing team, come and have an interview. And I'd just got out of footy, and I was like, oh, this would be good, I'll do it for a couple of years. It was 14 years ago now, so I thought I'll do this for a couple of years and go back to footy. It'll be cool to do something different. Like motorsport, man, when it gets its claws into you, it's so addictive. Love it. Like, couldn't see how I could have gone back to footy or anything like that. This sport is just amazing.
You had a little bit of time with the team, but then family life came along and you wanted to take a year off.
Yeah.
How'd that go for you?
Yeah, well, I thought, you know what, I've done my time travelling, and I want to spend some time growing up, with the family and doing a more sort of a Monday to Friday type job. But I found myself at Byron Bay. We'd booked a holiday, and it was about 3 months after I'd left the team, and we went there, and it was in October. And Lisa said to me, oh, we're going to the beach. I said, look, I'll just watch the start of the broadcast of Bathurst. I think it was on Friday. And then as the family walked back in at 4 p.m, and I'd watched all the categories and supercars, and I was heading towards quali, and she was like, wow, we've been gone all day. And I was like, oh, bloody hell, this is epic. And I think, a couple of days later, I was like, you know what, I've got to get back. I love it. I love it so much.
So it's fair to say that if the chance meeting with Skaife never happened, you wouldn't be sitting here right now?
Absolutely. Yeah, it wasn't on my radar at the time, and it was just the time when John Crennan was leaving the business, and they were looking for a commercial person to come in, and because I'd had all that experience in AFL with the Ds, then I kind of fitted the mould, but I don't think I would have been on the radar, and probably, honestly, I don't think I probably would have gone for it. But Mark talked me into it and told me, that was different about this sport and how it was entrepreneurial and access and, the energy around supercars, and it delivers on every level. Like, it's not an ad, it's true. I wouldn't be here, 14 years later.
And be the boss.
Well, yeah, I'm just lucky to be part of the team, to be honest, and we've got an awesome team, and I think the beauty of motorsport is that you have this one driver who looks, or 2 drivers, but they look like the pinnacles in the team, but it genuinely is a team sport. If you go and work in AFL or any other sport, you can be around it and you can bring the commercial partnerships into it, but in motorsport, you are genuinely part of the team. That's pretty cool.
You mentioned that you grew up in Christchurch.
Yeah.
You call Melbourne home, you have done since the late 90s, but there was a moment when you went back home on a pretty amazing day in the history of your hometown.
Yeah, February the 22nd, and what was it, 2011? 11, yeah. And I went back for a holiday with the family, and I ended up in Christchurch, close to the city, in a place called Riccarton, in a Borders, when that earthquake happened. That was horrendous. So, heart goes out to Christchurch, which has been through so much, but equally, the people there are pretty resilient, pretty cool, and it's looking like an amazing city now. So, but yeah, there was a lot of pain, and that was pretty scary week, month, year, for everyone in Christchurch.
What was that day like? Because you imagine your wife was at home and you've gone to the city. It would have been hard to connect with each other. You would have people wondering if you're okay. How did all that play out?
Yeah, I did something. So I was in a borders and shaking, and I behaved pretty poorly. I got outside and mobile phone reception wasn't around, and obviously family were in the country, and could see brick facades had fallen down, and so you spent about an hour sort of seeing if anyone needed any help, and I thought I've got to get my car because Holden had loaned it to me in New Zealand, and it was parked underneath a mall at Repco Mall, and I went down a level or two, and I was like, oh, bloody hell, and the alarms are going off, and people say, get out, get out, get out, and so I grabbed the car, and I thought, oh, I'll take a crack at it, and I was driving up the levels. I was like, I haven't even checked my ticket anyway. Got up to the boom gate, and someone had already driven through it, so I came out like the Dukes of Hazzard, and I was it was a terrible day, but equally I was like, oh, bloody hell, what? I was down 2 levels down with aftershocks happening, and I was worried about a bloody car. What an idiot, but I think that's kind of a rational thought that goes through your head anyway.
Pretty amazing thing to be a part of all the same.
Oh, it was, terrible and amazing, but the people, got lots of family caught up in it, and a lot of people lost houses, and it's horrendous. So we're lucky to be here.
So from cricket to motor racing and everything in between, mate, I think it's been will you tell me what sort of ride has it been like for you in supercars?
Amazing, love it, and I'm lucky to be part of a team that feels like we're really actually doing something. We're making steps, and we want to take on the big teams in this sport, and we want to actually make a difference. So it's pretty cool. I love the passion of our fans who get around us at every event, and it seems to be swelling as well, that there are more and more of them. So thankfully we've ridden the COVID bubble, and let's see what we can do this year.
Thanks, mate. We'll have to go have a net session one day, I reckon.
Absolutely.
Roll the arm over.
Absolutely. Not in the same nick as I once was. So I might have to bat first, but let's do it. All good. All good. Thanks.